When a conversation pauses for more than 4 seconds, your amygdala mathematically registers it as social rejection. To survive this biological panic, you open your mouth and start over-explaining. This is the exact millisecond you lose all your leverage. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius knew that the loudest man in the room is always the weakest. You think you are building a connection, but you are publicly confessing that your fragile ego cannot handle the void. Let's dismantle your pathetic need to speak. Right now, the window to master the psychological leverage is closing fast in a modern world terrified of silence. Every second you spend trying to entertain fools, you are bleeding status. If you do not learn this ancient protocol today, you will spend the rest of your life as a slave to the opinions of others. Shut this video off right now if you want to keep begging for attention, or stay here to learn the elite discipline of absolute silence. Our brains evolved for an environment very different from the one we currently inhabit. We carry biological baggage that primes us to detect threats that no longer exist. When someone stops talking, your primal programming screams that your safety is at risk, that you are being cast out of the tribe. But this is an illusion. We are not going to starve, and violence is not going to break out. Yet we react emotionally, get despondent, and lose our perspective. We trade our authority just to relieve the pressure of a quiet room. We willingly surrender our mystery because the silence feels too heavy to bear. Why silence triggers your weakest insecurities. We subconsciously submit to the tyranny of being picked. We want to be liked, validated, and understood by the group. When you rush to fill the silence, you are begging to be picked. You are projecting a profound lack of self-trust. Consider the young investor John D. Rockefeller during the Panic of 1857. While the mad crowd gave in to speculation and disaster, Rockefeller eagerly observed the momentous events with unflappable coolness under pressure. He understood that desperation and fear are functions of our perceptions. When you speak out of nervousness, you prove that your perception is broken. You are acting like a frantic investor selling at the bottom of a market crash. True power comes from the ability to resist impulse in favor of cold, hard common sense. If you cannot tolerate 5 seconds of silence, your mind is extraordinarily weak. You must learn the domestication of one's emotions. Rockefeller was once offered $500,000 by eager investors, but after inspecting the opportunity, he completely walked away and refunded the money because he refused to be swayed by the excited crowd. He possessed the discipline to stay quiet and do nothing. You must cultivate this exact same psychological distance. The Stoic rule of withholding information. Society tells you that transparency is a virtue. This is a trap designed to keep you predictable and easily managed. Elite operators deploy the flank attack. The popular image of General George Washington is of a bold commander attacking head-on, but the true history reveals he was wily and evasive. He waged a war of defense, deliberately refusing to battle large formations, and was actually better at withdrawing than at advancing. In social dynamics, silence is your tactical withdrawal. It is the ultimate flank attack. Washington told his men to never attack where it is obvious. By withholding your words, you approach from the line of least expectation. You force the other person to extend themselves, to over-explain, to reveal their hidden motives. You let them exhaust their ammunition while you remain an impenetrable fortress. You use their own chaotic energy against them, just as ancient boat captains used the wickedly strong current of the Mississippi River to slingshot themselves upstream. When you stop providing context, you mathematically force your enemies to negotiate against themselves. How to build the inner citadel against noise. To execute this level of restraint, you cannot be emotionally fragile. You must build what the Stoics called the inner citadel, that fortress inside of us that no external adversity can ever break down. We are not born with such a structure. It must be built and actively reinforced. At age 12, Theodore Roosevelt was physically frail and weak, his life hanging in a precarious balance due to asthma. But when his father told him he must build his body, the young boy simply replied, "I'll make my body." He spent the next 5 years feverishly working out, preparing himself for the strenuous life. You must do the exact same thing with your mind. You must hit the mental gym, and silence is the heavy weight you must lift. The path of least resistance is a terrible teacher. We cannot afford to shy away from the awkwardness of an unanswered question. When you embrace the uncomfortable void, you are laying the indestructible bricks of your citadel. You are proving to your own biology that no external validation is required for your survival. The great orator Demosthenes locked himself away underground in a dugout to train his voice, shaving half his head so he would be too embarrassed to go outside. He isolated himself to build his power. You must isolate your mind from the need to speak. Why the 1% let fools do the talking. When you talk, you are providing a target. When you are silent, you become invisible and untouchable. Consider the terrifying German blitzkrieg in World War II, a massive offensive designed to exploit the flinch of the enemy. The opposing commanders were expected to collapse in panic or attack head-on. But General Dwight D. Eisenhower saw the opportunity within the obstacle, demanding only cheerful faces at his conference table. By allowing a forward wedge of the army through, the Allies bent instead of breaking, letting the enemy rush headfirst into a net. In modern life, loud, insecure critics operate exactly like the blitzkrieg. They launch aggressive statements hoping you will meet them head-on with an emotional defense. If you stay completely silent, you remove the wall they desperately need to brace against. Their thrust becomes impotent and suicidal. You let them run themselves out. When Alexander the Great faced the untamable horse Bucephalus, he realized that the harder the horse ran, the sooner he got tired out and submitted to his rider's influence. Let the fools talk until they run out of breath. Their noise is not a threat, it is the exact mechanism of their defeat. To sit in complete silence while someone attempts to provoke you requires a radical, unnatural shift in perception. The legendary samurai Miyamoto Musashi noted the profound difference between the perceiving eye and the observing eye. The perceiving eye is weak because it brings its own issues to the fight, seeing insurmountable obstacles or personal attacks. The observing eye is strong because it sees simply what is there, clear of distractions and exaggerations. When someone speaks to you aggressively or demands an explanation, the perceiving eye feels threatened and demands that you defend your honor. The observing eye simply registers harmless sound waves hitting your eardrums. You can use what the Stoic philosophers called contemptuous expressions to strip away the legend that encrusts the situation. That intimidating boss or that critical colleague, picture them awkward, grunting, and frail in their private life. See them exactly as they truly are. They are nothing to fear, turning their insults into dead ends. There is an elite, almost ruthless level to this discipline. It is not just staying quiet, it is genuinely enjoying the frustration of your opponents. Take the great boxer Jack Johnson in his famous brawl with Jim Jeffries. Genuinely hated by the crowd, Johnson designed his entire fight plan around their abuse. At every nasty remark, he would give his opponent another lacing, and when a blow opened a cut on his lip, Johnson kept smiling a gory, cheerful smile. As Jack London reported from ringside, if ever a man won by nothing more fatiguing than a smile, Johnson won that day. When someone insults you or tries to bait you into a debate, they are handing you a gift. Why should you hate them for hating you? Bitterness is their burden, and you must refuse to pick it up. When you meet their noise with a calm, amused silence, you frustrate the impediments attempting to frustrate you. You force them to dig their own grave. You become physically loose and mentally tight, like the brilliant Arthur Ashe, channeling your suppressed emotion into a bold, untouchable mastery of the moment. The Greeks had a specific word for this state of absolute emotional control: apatheia. It is the calm equanimity that comes with the absence of irrational or extreme emotions. It is looking at the chaos, the insults, and the awkward pauses, and clinically deciding not to let them in. You realize that responding to fools does not provide you with more options. It only drags you into their messy, unpredictable labyrinth. The Stoic maxim commands, choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Your silence is your ultimate psychological shield. It proves to the world that you have divided reality into what is up to you and what is not up to you. Other people's opinions, their insecurities, their desperate need for endless chatter, none of that is up to you. What is completely undeniably up to you is your focus and your discipline. You are the architect of your own status. Do not trade your sovereignty for the cheap relief of small talk. Lock the heavy iron gates of your inner citadel. Withdraw your presence. Let the world scream into the void while you sit in absolute, terrifying peace. Face the truth. Do you speak because you actually have something valuable to add, or simply because your fragile ego cannot tolerate sitting in an uncomfortable silence? Defend your position below.